I'm Jessica Jarlvi, and I'm here with Brandy Scott, who is a radio presenter and now also a published author of Not Bad People, which was launched in February this year. Welcome, Brandy.
Hi.
So let's talk about your book.
Let's talk about my favourite subject. Let's talk about the book.
Excellent. Do you want to talk to us about what the inspiration was behind the book and what it's about?
Sure. Okay. Well, the book is about three women who are having a letting go ceremony. So they're writing down things that they want to let go of on strips of paper, and it's New Year's Eve. They tie them to sky lanterns or Chinese lanterns, depending on where you're from. And then when they let them off in the distance, they see a bit of a flare of light, but they're quite flammable. If you've ever let off a Chinese lantern, you'll know they're like 90% paraffin. So they think, she's right. You know, they see it go out in the distance, and they think, and they go to bed. And then they wake up in the morning to discover that a light aircraft has gone down in roughly the same area, and they don't know if they've caused the accident or if they haven't.
Cool. It's very intriguing. How did you come up with that idea?
I went to a letting go ceremony where we lit off Chinese lanterns with things written. I mean, we did the whole thing. We, wrote down the things we wanted to let go of, which was, cellulite, dodgy in-laws, resentments. And as they flew off, nothing caught on fire.
Right.
But I did find myself thinking, I wonder what would happen if they hit something.
And how long ago was that?
Oh, years.
Right.
Years.
So it's kind of been sitting at the back of your mind.
Yeah, I was writing another book at the time. And I wrote down the first chapter almost exactly as it appears in the book.
Right.
Actually, like it's remarkably unchanged.
Right.
But I didn't quite know what happened next. I had a number of scenarios. I thought they could cause a bushfire, they could cause different things. And so I put it in a drawer and I left it for at least a year and a half.
Right, and then went back to it.
A virtual digital drawer, obviously.
Right. Okay.
And then I did go back to it because I liked the idea the whole time. I'd always liked the idea. It had been ticking away. And then when I went back to it, I suddenly thought of two more characters to introduce, and then it
and then
just
it all came together. Brilliant. And was it easy to write?
Yes.
Yeah?
It actually was remarkably easy to write. I just kept saying to people, I'm really in love with it. Like and I was. It was like almost like I was having a relationship. I was just quite consumed by it, and I was really looking forward to getting home to it every day after work.
I think when you write a book that you actually want to read yourself, it might make it easier. Is that how you felt? It's the type of book.
Do you know why I really liked it? Because I had written a manuscript before, and which I enjoyed writing. But this one I really loved, and I sat down afterwards and tried to figure out why I had enjoyed the process of writing it so much. And I think it's just because there are so many stakes in the book early on. Do you know what I mean? Everyone has something to lose. Everyone has something that they would rather that people weren't talking about, that people didn't know. And everyone has stuff that they care about deeply in the book. And that actually makes it really, really easy to write. Because once you get past the euphoria of the first couple of chapters, it starts building its own momentum. Right. So you know what has to happen next, because you need to fix the stuff that you've done in the first few chapters.
But you also have lots of different perspectives in the book. So was it difficult to tie them in with each other?
No, I love writing from multiple points of view. I'm not a first-person writer at all.
Right.
The I, as a New Zealander, I just get quite embarrassed by. I feel like we're a country of tall poppy syndrome. We don't talk about ourselves, and so I'm to the point that I can't even write in the first person, even if it's fiction.
Interesting.
But I really love the revolving third person. I love the handoff, and there's so much you can do with that handoff when you change perspectives and you suddenly see the same scene from somebody else's point of view. Yeah, like that's just.
I know. I agree.
A gift.
I do like that as well. I like writing that, and I also like reading books like that. So I completely agree. You've had a slightly unique road to publication with this book. Could you tell us about that?
Yes, as in you mean it was sold before I wrote it?
Exactly. I know, which is like an author's dream, right?
Yeah, and was quite accidental because I had written another book, as I mentioned. I'd written another manuscript, and I'd found an agent, the wonderful Vicky, and she was sending that around publishing houses, and people were asking questions and they were interested, and the conversations were going on. Could you change this? Maybe you could do a bit more of that. And in that process, she said to me, "Is there anything else that you're working on? Because publishers, love to see that you've kind of got more to you than just one book."
Yeah, sure.
And I said, I've got 3 chapters of something that I've just kind of started. And I sent her the 3 chapters, and she wrote back almost immediately and said, I can sell this.
Yeah.
And in a matter of weeks.
Right.
Not the one I'd conveniently written.
Yeah.
She sold the one I hadn't written. Thanks, Vicky.
Nice challenge.
But it was.
Yeah.
And I made a deliberate, I mean, you know, it was signed, it was amazing. You know, it's one of those moments where all the emails are coming in and you can see it happening, and it's, you know, it's just exciting, isn't it? And the whole time I kind of was thinking, now I have to write it.
Yeah.
But I made a deliberate decision, and I'm not the sort of person who does this very often, by the way. I mean, I'm not a glass half full sort of person. I'm a who necked my glass sort of person.
Okay. Yeah.
But I made a deliberate decision not to see it as pressure.
Right.
But to see it as, isn't it awesome to be writing something that you know that someone wants?
Yeah, and that's amazing. It's like
And
a
that's
dream.
how I thought of it the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so lucky. I've got feedback the whole way.
Yeah.
I can send stuff if I want to. I can not send stuff if I don't want to.
And did you send that to your agent or your editor?
HarperCollins. Well, I was sending it to Vicky the whole way through. I had about 3 readers.
Right.
She was one of them. And I'd send off sort of chapters with the end of each chapter. But HarperCollins left it really down to me. They said, however you want to work. If you want to send it the whole way through, that's great. If you want to send it just at the end when you're finished. What I actually ended up doing was I sent it at the halfway mark.
Yeah.
just to kind of check that I was
On
on
the right
track.
track, yeah.
No one wants to get to
Yeah,
110,000
exactly,
words
yeah.
and be told, yeah, that wasn't quite where we were going. And then I sent it at the end.
Yeah, okay, fantastic. It's obviously quite intense writing. And I just wanted to ask you what your highs and your lows have been.
The highs were, the absolute high of writing the book was when I got to around 65,000 words, and I was aiming for about 100,000.
Right.
And Catherine, my publisher at HarperCollins, wrote me an email because we were pretty much on deadline. I was kind of hoping no one would notice, but she wrote me an email that said, "Hey, how's it going? Just, you know, wondering if there was an update," type thing. Very casual, but I knew that what she wasn't saying was, you know, it's due now.
That's good though, yeah.
And I rang Vicky and I was like, I'm at 65,000 words, like I'm not finished, and it's kind of due. And she was like, what can you realistically do? I said, I don't know, but I can take a week off work, 5 days, 2 days either side, that's 9 days in a row, and I'll take myself away somewhere and just see how much. And she said, okay, go do that, and then after that, she didn't say we'll panic, but that was the inference. Go do that, and then we'll take stock. So I took myself off to Hatterford, which is my absolute favourite writing place, because you're out of Dubai, you're away from the shopping malls, no one's going to phone you.
Yeah.
And I shut myself away and I just typed for that whole time. And before I did that, a really good writing day for me was 1,000 words a day. If I did 1,500, it was pretty awesome. And I thought I knew myself as a writer. I was doing 6,000 words a day, and I was finishing up at about 4 o'clock and going for a swim.
Okay, amazing.
And I didn't know I could write that fast.
Right.
And most of it, by the way, was good. Like,
Is
wasn't rough.
Sorry, but is that because you didn't have the pressures of the day job?
No, do you know what it was? It was partly because I was sleeping.
Yeah, okay.
It was partly because I wasn't at work.
Uh-huh.
But I think the main thing, again, comes down to those stakes. That because you've built 2/3 of the book by that stage, and you're just tying up all the loose ends. So you're not having to think, I wonder what happens next.
Right.
You're skiing down the mountain.
Yeah.
Because everything is already in place, and all you're doing is pulling in the threads that you've already laid out there.
Right. So you'd planned the whole book in detail beforehand?
No, I hadn't planned it. But it was obvious which plot lines were sort of still open.
Right.
And that needed to be closed.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. And it was the best experience I've ever had. Like, literally, I was just sitting there thinking, wow, 6,000 words. This is brilliant. And it was great. And I sent them off to my readers, most of whom are in New Zealand and Australia, Singapore overnight. They'd send them back the next morning with like a, yeah.
Excellent.
And it was just so much. It was fun. I didn't see anyone apart from the people delivering room service.
Yeah.
And it was just so much fun.
Yeah. And
I overshot, by the way. I got to 136,000 words.
Amazing. So would you do that with the next book?
Yes.
You'll go away for a few days?
Oh, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're very, very, very privileged here in that we are in a position, you know, that you've got quite a lot of time off, quite a lot of long weekends. I really benefited from long weekends when I was writing.
Okay.
which was fantastic.
Cool.
The lows, writing it was better and quicker than I thought it was going to be. Editing it was harder and slower.
Yeah, I would say so. I quite enjoy the editing process though.
Why do you enjoy it?
I enjoy it because I feel like that's when it comes together for me. I can be quite harsh and cut, thousands of words out, cut, whole chapters out. And it's because I don't plan it, I think, beforehand in detail. When I have the whole book in front of me, then I can see how I need to rearrange it. And I quite like that, seeing how it all falls into place.
Do you write rough first drafts though? I mean, how much do you change in the editing process?
A lot, I would say. Quite a lot. Yeah, it's fairly rough. And I think sometimes I write just to kind of, discover where it's going, really.
I couldn't live like that.
So
honestly, I couldn't live like that. That would have me, no, I'd be in a
That's so
straitjacket.
exciting though. I really like that. I think that's so exciting that I don't even know myself sometimes where it's going. I mean, I know roughly where the whole story is going, but the fact that the characters can take on their own lives, I find that really fascinating.
I probably plot about the same much as you, as in I know the destination.
Right.
I don't always know how I'm going to
get there.
Yeah. But I know roughly where I'm heading. And it can change. It does change. It did change, actually.
Yeah.
But I like to get each scene really crystal.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's written, I've edited it a couple of times. It looks good.
Right.
There's no rough edges, nothing to come back to, and then I move on to the next
And then
scene.
you move on, okay. I mean, that makes sense too. I think every writer has a different process at the end of the day.
I think, and I worked in newspapers for a long time as well, so I think I just like stuff tidy before I move on to the next thing.
What advice would you give to aspiring writers? What about writing courses?
Other than, I was going to say, because the main advice is to write and to read, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that really is, if you're not writing and you're not reading.
Exactly. Don't talk about writing. Actually go and do it. Yeah.
Don't
True.
talk on Instagram about writing.
Yeah.
Hashtag I'm writing. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're on Instagram. Writing courses. Do you know what? That's interesting, because you and I did different things, didn't we?
Yes. So you did a master's.
I did, do you know what? I did lots of things. I ended up doing a master's, which I went back and did at the IIML in Wellington, the International Institute of Modern Letters, and that was a year. 10 of you are in a room doing workshops, listening to other writers' experience, but effectively, at the end of it, you make a book, or else they don't give you a certificate.
Yeah, exactly.
Which was great, and I went on a couple of physical writing courses a few years before. So I took myself off to the States in summer from here, and I went to Iowa and I went to Provincetown for week-long courses.
Right, okay.
Which was brilliant, which is when I first started thinking I might actually be able to do this.
So this is before your master's?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. But I think that makes sense. I mean, I did a master's as well, and I loved it, but I thought it was more about the art of writing, which was highly enjoyable, and it was really beneficial to share your work and get constructive criticism. Yeah. But then I also did a course through Curtis Brown,
which I'm hugely envious of.
I know, and they're fantastic because they're an agency, and they also look at the commercial aspects, which unfortunately, as a writer, you do have to think about.
Of course you do.
And so I think that was, for me, having done both, was hugely beneficial for me.
Because I was really envious of the online course, and there's part of me that still really wants to do one.
You can still do it.
I could. I'm not quite sure what my agent would think about it, but I could.
Yeah.
I've thought about it. The Curtis Brown or the Faber one are the two that I really fancy doing.
Yes, no, I agree, and I would highly recommend the Curtis Brown one. And they also have different, so they have one for novel writing, or they have one for the young adult and middle grade books, for example. So, you know, if you're writing a different genre.
But it's nice to write in a community, don't you think?
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I really like about it.
Trusted readers, I think, at the end of the day. I have one friend from my Curtis Brown who always reads my stuff, and I really trust. And then and my husband will read anything that I write. But he's my biggest fan, so I can't always 100% trust him, I don't think, although he is quite honest. And then I'm in a writing group, so there will be varying people there who might read a chapter here and there, you know, but maybe not consistently throughout the whole. What about you?
I've got one person, again, from the masters that I did, and we still read each other's work. I have two friends who are lawyers.
Okay.
Useful.
Useful.
Who both read everything I write. And one friend who was the first writing friend I ever made from Iowa, and we read each other's work. And it's great because we've known each other now for nearly a decade. We're really harsh on each other. Like there's no sugarcoating.
Yeah.
And we also, because we know each other so well, we can also just say to each other, this is good, but you can actually do better than this.
Yeah.
Like, you're being a bit lazy, you can do better than this.
Yeah. That's good. It's exactly what you need.
Yeah, it's great.
You know, but I think that you get to that stage. I think in the beginning, when you first hand out your work, you do need that positive feedback as well as the constructive
Well, it's the
criticism,
praise sandwich,
it's quite
isn't
hard.
it?
Exactly.
You say something nice, you offer a suggestion, you finish it with something else.
Yeah, exactly. Can you talk about your next novel?
Can I talk about my next novel? I'm not superstitious about talking about it. I am in the planning stages at the moment. It's not a sequel or a prequel, but it is linked to Not Bad People.
Okay.
So,
in what way?
one of the minor characters here, and is so minor that she doesn't really have a personality, is the main, she basically fulfills a function in this book, is the main character in the next book. Which I really, really love the idea of, because I've just got the chance to really flesh her out. And I love the fact there's a link to the first book, and there will be a few little Easter eggs that are dotted in there for people who have read it to find. But I'm not a huge fan of the sequel. I'm not a huge fan of the first two chapters being filling in everyone who hadn't read the last book in backstory. And so I like the idea of the fresh slate.
Yeah, you could read the second book first if you wanted to.
Exactly. Oh no, you totally could, because it's set in an entirely different small Australian town. And I've just booked 3 weeks off work to go back to Australia in July in winter. To Victoria to sit in the grey drizzle and research, which is dedication, I think. Rather than going to
very
Sri Lanka
much so, yeah, exactly.
with the rest of Dubai.
Please do go and buy Not Bad People, which I've just finished reading and is absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much, Brandy Scott, for having a chat to us about books.
I didn't know you'd finished it.
All right.
Please go and leave me a Goodreads review.
I will do. Anybody who reads a book and likes it should always leave an Amazon and a Goodreads review, please.
Yeah, that is the kindest thing that you can do for an author, other than buying it in the first place. Do you read your reviews?
So I did in the beginning, but not anymore, because I find it's very subjective, and I thought I have a really thick skin and I will be able to handle it. But sometimes when people have comments that are just a little bit rude, I think, you know,
just a little bit rude.
Exactly. Then I kind of get a little bit frustrated, because I spent so much time and so much hard work putting this novel together that I don't think is quite fair, to be honest with you. I personally don't leave reviews if I don't like something. I think there's always going to be somebody who enjoys this book. Otherwise, it wouldn't be out there. You know, about any books that I read, basically.
It's a good way to look. That's a good way to look at it. I find it can be really random. People will be like, "I loved it. This was brilliant." 2 stars.
Yeah.
you want to write to them and say, come on,
I know.
Where are the rest of my stars?
Yeah, exactly.
But that would be stalking.
I know, I completely agree. So no, I don't read them. What about you? Are you reading them at the moment?
So I've been told not to. Yeah, of course I'm reading them.
Yeah, you are.
Totally, like daily.
Oh gosh. No, I would stop doing that.
Yeah, I think I might have to give that up for Lent.
You should. Exactly. So thank you so much, Brandy Scott, for talking about Not Bad People.
It's been fun.